Hello, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer, the board game review show that looks exactly the same, upside down. My name is Cody, and you know what? If there's one thing I like to do, it's to break into computer systems illegally. So I want to talk to you today about Android Netrunner from Fantasy Flight Games.
All the other scientists in my field keep on calling me insane. I should have invented themselves some kind of shield, yeah. Cause in these jars I'm holding all of the brains. Oh, 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 it's not easy being a genius. It's not easy being a super evil genius. Oh, 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 you don't know how I feel. So you must be killed because you're not an evil genius like me.
Android Netrunner from Fantasy Flight Games is a card game. It is a living card game, meaning Fantasy Flight Games puts out a lot of new cards, and new packs of cards, and new expansions frequently so that people can play this game in tournament competitions. Now, the game itself is pretty difficult to learn in that it has a lot of different terms. Once you learn the terms, it's actually pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of learning exactly what you're referring to in the game's terminology. But essentially, one of you will play an evil corporation in a dystopian future, and the other one will play a computer hacker, a cyber hacker, who is looking to show the world what the evil corporations are up to. Now, the game is asymmetrical, and that's the first thing you have to know about Android Netrunner. One of the players is playing offense, and one of them is playing defense. The corporation is playing defense, the runner, or the hacker, is playing offense. Now, essentially what's going to happen is the corporation, they're going to go first. Now, every turn, they get 3 actions, or clicks. There's a little tracker that you can use to make sure you know which click you're on. You also have credits, and a lot of the game is spending your clicks and spending your credits. And how that works is essentially, on your turn, you've got your hand, which is called your HQ, you've got your deck, which is your R&D, and these are your servers. These are your central servers. You can also discard cards, and that becomes your archive, another central server. But what you can do over the course of the game is create, to your right, you can create remote servers. And these remote servers essentially are cards that you can lay down in order to either advance agendas, because that's how you're going to score points, is by advancing agendas, or lay traps for the runner. Now, also critically, you're going to want to install what is known as ICE. ICE are essentially your defenses. They're your walls. And they have subroutines that are going to attack the runner if the runner gets to them. You lay these face down so the runner doesn't know, what it is you're trying to do, if you're trying to score an agenda, or if you're simply trying to lay a trap or do something else. Maybe some of these cards may make you money. And he's going to see these walls of ice in front of him, and he doesn't know what they are, and they could be potentially very dangerous for him. The runner is going to essentially, on his turn, spend his clicks to equip his rig. Essentially, lay down cards, and he's kind of limited in how he can do this by certain considerations, but he's going to be laying down different cards that kind of improve his ability to get past the corporation's ice. So, this is essentially a game of resource management and risk management. Because what's going to happen is that runner, when he feels like he's strong enough, he can make runs against specific servers. Now, like, for instance, if he takes a look at run at your R&D, if he gets through, he can look at the top card. He might be able to get rid of it. He can do the same thing with your hand. Or he can look and see what those remote servers are. And again, he can trash it sometimes he can trash it, or he can, even if it's an agenda, steal it. Now, as I say, those agenda cards are worth a certain amount of points. And if the corporation scores them, he gets the points. But if the runner steals that card, he gets the points. The first player to 7 points wins the game. But there's also a few other ways that the game can end. For instance, the runner's grip, meaning his hand, if ever he loses all the cards in his hand, he's dead. In fact, one of the things that your ice is going to do if you're the corporation is take away his cards from his hand. And if ever he loses all the cards in his hand, he is a goner. That is just a very, very basic overview of Android Netrunner. And I should point out that you have in the base game, you have 4 different corporations that you can choose from that each have different powers, and the runner has 3 different runner factions that he can choose from that have different powers. So there's already in the base game a lot of variation. You can mix this thing up and play different runners against different corporations, and it's a very different game whenever you mix it up like that. So that's really cool. There's enough variation just in the base game for something like that. But as I say, they put out a whole lot of expansions for this game here. Now, I have to be 100% honest with you. I remember when this game came out a couple of years ago, and I thought, yeah, it looks good, but I just wasn't that into card games at the time. I didn't like really any card games. This was just a couple of years ago. What a difference a couple of years makes. I mean, my game of the year this year, for 2014 so far, is a card game. It's Legendary Encounters. So I've really been a convert to card games, particularly deck builders. I really enjoy deck builders. Now this is a living card game, and there can be some deck building at the beginning of the game, but really this is a different animal. I wasn't too sure about this game. I certainly didn't feel like I was going to go out and collect a bunch of cards, but I was intrigued by it. And so the good people at Fantasy Flight Games sent me a copy of it to see what I think, and I started playing the game, and I got to tell you something. As soon as we got the terms down and started playing through the game, I fell in love. I fell in love. This thank you, Fantasy Flight Games. I'm being sarcastic because you have turned me into an addict. I am a Netrunner addict. I have played this game so many times since I first started playing it, and it's just, man, it's phenomenal. I love the variety. I love the variations. I love this just all the things you can do with your cards. I love that it's a very simple game and it's a very complex game. I mean, you know, kind of simple rules but complex strategies, and I love that. I love that. This is a fun game. This is just a game that will consistently blow you away if you're willing to put the time into it to learn it. And don't misunderstand me. It's not too hard to learn. You just get those terms down and you're good. This is a fun game, and this is an absolute no-brainer for the discriminating gamer. If you think you like card games, and even if you don't, give this one a shot. The recommendation for the discriminating gamer is buy it. Thank you so much for joining us for The Discriminating Gamer. My name is Cody. As always, we ask you to please like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. We are The Discriminating Gamer, and the corporation's onto me! Just kidding.
Please somebody help me.